As the Romans expanded their dominance around the world, their policy was generally to absorb the deities and cults of other peoples, rather than to try to eradicate them, since they believed that preserving traditions promoted social stability. The Romans practiced a commodity-money relationship with the gods. I build you a temple, you help me. The same attitude carried over to foreign gods. One of the ways Rome unified the various peoples was by supporting their religious heritage, building temples to local deities that placed their theology within the hierarchy of Roman religion. Inscriptions throughout the empire record the worship of local and Roman deities side by side, including dedications made by Romans to local gods. An amazing tolerance to which civilization has returned after 2,000 years. During the Roman Empire, it banned and destroyed only two cults. The cult of Dionysus, aka Bacchus or Bacchus, was part of the Roman pantheon of gods. The Roman authorities officially banned wild orgies in his honor, which were called Bacchanalia, in 186 BC. The ban was imposed after a public trial in which charges of criminal rather than religious nature were brought against the participants in the Bacchanalia. Another religion that the Romans fiercely and successfully fought against was the cult of the Druids. The Romans burned sacred groves and killed all the priests. The reason was simple. The Druids were the inspiration for the tribes opposing the Roman expansion, and the Druids offered human sacrifices, which was contrary to Roman morality. This cult was not officially banned in Rome itself. There were simply no followers among Roman citizens. And the third religion to be persecuted was Christianity. So what did the first Christians do that was so terrible that Roman religious tolerance failed? We will not go into a detailed study of this process. For the sake of the project format, we will consider only basic historical data. Reed William, in 1859 to 1906, in his work on the Apostle Paul, 1904, attempts to show the essential difference between the Apostle Paul and Jesus Christ. Sees the second founder of Christianity and the first Christian theologian, with the apostles' teaching on justification by faith being the Apostle Paul's response to the conflict with Judaism. The Apostle Paul pointed out the non-binding nature of Christian rituals, such as circumcision and all the statutes of the Torah. Basically, the basic message of Christianity is equality before God. There is no rich or poor. Initially, the woman is equal to people. Recall that the role of women in antiquity was negligible, to the point that they were often given one name for all sisters, and numbers went on. I am not writing about expectations. I am writing about a universal system. In the Christian religion, everyone was originally brothers and sisters. In general, the attitude toward women in civilization is a separate topic of study. That is why there were so many women among the first Christians. The principle of equality works well as populism. Initially, congregations were built on it and practiced donation and universal aid. In a congregation, you could be sheltered, fed, listened to, and as a consequence, converted to Christianity. And true happiness, true bliss in Christianity is not enjoyed by those who are fortunate, but by people who in ordinary society are not at all considered lucky. The poor, the mourners, the meek, the truth seekers, the merciful, the peacemakers. After 3 centuries of illegal existence in the Roman Empire, Christianity finally became a legal religion, religio licita, and the next emperor, Constantine the Great himself, has already converted to Christianity. And by his edict, issued in 313 in Mediolanum, declared in the empire full religious freedom, which in terms of that time meant the victory of Christian teachings over the Roman state, over pagan religions, and opened a new era in the history, not only of the Roman Empire, but also in the history of all European and perhaps even world civilization, the era of Christianity. Why do I make a big excursion into the development of Christianity? It's just that in the Middle Ages, the whole life of society was subordinated to religion and history, and the arts are 99% religion. There is a theory that early medieval visual imagery is only an idea, a scheme, and had no purpose to show the human being in his anatomical form. But I believe that the movement towards simplicity is a loss of skill. Being able to read is a skill. Don't teach a person literacy, and all previously written books and knowledge will fade away. If a master does not give the skill to create a painting, a fresco, or a sculpture, in a generation we will have a new cave painting, the creation of beautiful and aesthetic, anatomically correct forms will be lost, and humanity will go to a new round of development to create something similar in 1,000 years. We already know that Theodosius I divided the Roman Empire between his sons in 395. The Western spoke Latin and was conquered by barbarians and Vandals. The last emperor of the Western Roman Empire, Romulus Augustus, was about 15 years old, but this was too little to rule the dying empire. On September 4th, 476, Romulus Augustus abdicated the throne. This moment historians consider the date of the fall of the Western Roman Empire. History loves to make nice gestures. By a strange coincidence, the first and last Roman emperor was named Romulus. The circle closed. Rome loses its great status. Constantine moves the capital from Rome to the small town of Byzantium, later renamed Constantinople after Constantine. There is a split of the empire into Western and Eastern, which later became known as Byzantium with Constantinople as its capital. From this time, it is accepted to consider the conditional beginning of the Middle Ages. It so happened that Christianity became the only region in the whole territory, regardless of the schism. But how differently it affected the development of society and culture. We will try to trace on the example of the exhibits of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Eastern Empire lasted 1,000 years. The time period of 476 from the fall of the Roman Empire to May 29, 1453, when, after 2 months of resistance, Constantinople fell. The last Byzantine emperor, Constantine XI Dragash, died in battle. Byzantium played the most important role in shaping European culture. It was the first of the great states to embrace Christianity as the state religion, and the first to live and govern according to Christian teachings. Few people at the time realized the many geographical advantages endowed with the location of the new capital, and what a remarkable harbor could be made of the bay that washes the northern side of the triangle. The Byzantines found a good name called Golden Horn, and it paid off when merchants from different countries began to come here, quickly making it the richest port in the world. Byzantines could keep in touch with the Western world through a network of roads leading to the continent, and by sailing north along the Bosphorus, they could also reach numerous ports on the shore of the Black Sea. And then, through a territory of modern Russia, the way of merchants lay to the Scandinavian countries on one hand, and to Central Asia, India, and China on the other. Moreover, turning south into the Aegean Sea, they reached the Dardanelles, from where they entered the Mediterranean Sea. In other words, merchants, just by crossing the small sea of Marmara, could reach Asia Minor, and from there to any point in the region, now called the Near and Middle East, by ways different from those on which they went. At the height of all that Byzantine art was created, of course, we must consider the famous St. Sophia Cathedral. The building was built at the command of the emperor, who had a vision in a dream, indicating to him the dimensions and plan of the construction. The building lasted 6 years, and 10,000 workers were constantly working on it. The cost of construction was enormous. 20 years after the opening of the temple, an earthquake damaged the dome, so it was replaced with a new one and reinforced with buttresses. The temple is still preserved, turned into a mosque, and still makes a striking impression with its interior. The splendor and luxury of the Orient is reflected in all its beauty. All walls and columns are faced with marble, semi-precious stones, mosaic of the most skillful selection, and from bottom to top covered with ornaments, figured images, gold, wonderfully polished marble, and constantly changing game of light reflection makes St. Sophia Temple one of the wonders of the world. It is a magic decoration, some wonderful fairy tale. As a result of the struggle against idolatry as icons, within 2 years, beginning in 1908, 4 hoards of Byzantine silver objects were discovered in Syria. Among the Antioch treasure was a set of 2 bowls, set one inside the other. The inner bowl has an elongated shape. Its edge is bent over the edge of the outer bowl, the surface of which is covered with figures of people and animals, as well as images of vines. The outer bowl has a wider base. The height of the bowl is more than 19 centimeters, and its outer diameter exceeds 18 centimeters. This silver bowl, found in the excavations of ancient Antioch, was a world sensation. It was quite clear that this double bowl had some special purpose. The owner of the treasure asked the Swedish scientist Gustav Eisen to examine it. Eisen examined the find in the most meticulous way. He divided the bowls and examined them separately, paying particular attention to their decoration. The inner bowl is strikingly different from the outer one. It is very simple, and unlike the outer bowl, it contains no decorations. Its characteristic elongated shape, peculiar to the products of the turn of the 1st century BC, 1st century AD. The outer bowl is later and made by completely different master and using a different technique. The scholar's conclusion was unequivocal. The inner bowl is a precious relic from the earliest years of Christianity, the famous Grail cup. According to Eisen, later joined by a number of other scholars, it is the inner chalice that is the most sacred relic associated with the name of Christ. And if so, this find is of great value to all mankind. It is fair to say that the bowl really attracted the attention of everyone, and the connection with